pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Cook.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Butcher.
Here.
Wilczewski. Here. Raiders.
Nay.
Bunkhauser.
Here.
Turles.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Quorum is established.
Okay, for amendments to the agenda, we are going to talk about Cannonball Trail briefly after the minutes. Other than that, anyone else have any other amendments to tonight's agenda? Okay. Presentations, we do not have any listed, and I purposely left it off of the agenda tonight. We do have one presentation. We are going to recognize someone in this room who's been to more city council meetings, except maybe the chief, I don't know. But it's got to be close. I'm not sure how many other city councils have recognized a member of the press. But Tony Scott, we would like to recognize you for being the eyes and ears of Yorkville for all of these years. Tom, we appreciate it. We appreciate everything you've done over the years, and we even got new tables. You're still leaving. Huh?
Yeah, I saw that. It's real good timing. Thanks for that.
But I would like to present you with this certificate. The Mayor and City Council of the United City of Yorkville present this certificate to Tony Scott in recognition of his personal contributions to the Yorkville community through his coverage of Yorkville news and events throughout the past 22 years. We commend you for your journalistic integrity and your coverage of local government meetings and for your efforts in promoting transparency to our citizens through responsible journalism and reporting.
Thank
So
you.
again, Tony, thank you.
Probably gonna picture.
Yes.
Can we get everybody up there?
Come
Come on.
Let's get everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Why not? Good
You
group.
gotta stay, guys. Come on, between us. Come on.
How often is someone eating?
Oh, thanks, yeah.
How many mayors have been to?
I forgot. Don't say it. No, all right, start with our. So, yeah, it's 3.
Bigger smile.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Larry, you've done that. Tell us something, most controversial story or most interesting story, something.
I just, I've been real fortunate to have been, covering the community that I went to high school, and I've been fortunate to cover some really good public officials. Some of the ones that weren't so good, they were fun to cover too. But, it's been a real wild 20 plus years, and I'm off to NIU, a position at the NIU Foundation to do some work with them. So, thanks, I appreciate it.
Oh, we definitely wish you the best, and don't be a stranger.
I won't.
Okay, no public hearings. Do we have any citizen comments on anything that's on the agenda this evening? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Colosimo.
Aye.
Wilczewski. Aye. Turles.
Aye.
Raiders.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Butcher.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes of the regular city council meeting of December 11th, 2018 as presented.
Second.
Any comments, questions, or corrections about the minutes? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so Dwight can get out of here. We will have a brief conversation about Cannonball Trail, where obviously we've been talking about some safety improvements, and this last couple days shows the need for it with 3 accidents. I think went just yesterday, correct?
Yep.
So I don't know who wants to open the conversation, Mr.
Yeah, I'll start. The reason why I asked Dwight to come, I've been bothering Chief Hart
excuse me, Sheriff Beard, sorry about that. I'm comfortable. The reason that I wanted to have the conversation publicly is because we had a number of recommendations that were brought to us by EEI and Eric, Public Works, in December from the Public Works Committee meeting. And then we're talking about what we're going to do come January. And Chairman Grider was over from the county board, and we kind of made a public discussion about what's been happening and what our options are. And every time that another accident is posted to social media or to the newspaper, the comments are always, those people got to slow down. And I know the reason why the accidents are happening is people that are unfamiliar with the road are flying off of it, hitting other people, or just nailing that one guy's fence, or all of the power poles, or running into the other guy's grass. But the other reality is, and having lived here for a number of years, is that there are people that drive the road every day that are also having similar problems. And we know that Cannonball Trail progressed from a dirt road to a road without any real engineering. I travel down Cannonball Trail to Aurora every day, and I take that big 90-degree angle, and it's banked. So I know that even if I'm going a little bit over the recommended speed, I'm going to be fine. But the people at that curve right there, the Cannonball curve, are having a little bit more difficulty because they realize that they've gone past the point of no return after they've gone past the point of no return, and now we're having 3 accidents in one day, which is one shy of the record. Back in 2016, we had 4. I do want to apologize. I kind of feel personally responsible because right after I got elected in 13, I begged you, can we please resurface Cannonball Trail? Because it was almost as bad as the Whispering Meadows roadways. So I apologize for speeding up the process of where we are. And I do understand that most of the traffic that's having these accidents are coming from the Route 34 construction, which if you're not prepared for it, is only going to get worse. So if you are not familiar with the area, I would zoom out on your map app and try to avoid the area completely as opposed to driving near my house, actually right behind Beth's house, and spinning out and causing some destruction, whether it's yourself or somebody else. Yesterday, the 3rd accident was a head-on collision with a truck hitting a car. One of our neighbors was in the car that got hit. She had a child with her, I believe. It's past the point of being funny. So what we want to do is have a discussion amongst all of the stakeholders. We already talked to Chairman Grider last time. We know that there's not much we can do outside of re-engineering the road, but we're talking about the interim improvements that we can make. Alderman Funkhauser and I have been fielding phone calls, emails, messages, text messages, all about what are you going to do about it. And we know it's caused by stupidity, aka driver mishaps. We understand that. But it doesn't change the fact that we do have a responsibility to address it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's signage or rumble strips, it doesn't really matter, but I want to have a discussion here to focus on what we can actually do in the next week, because I know that by Thursday we're going to have temperatures in the teens, and I know that that little bit of a dusting of rain yesterday caused havoc for a lot of people, and the rerouting was, it's a half-hour detour for some people. So I wanted to initiate a conversation on the record, yet completely not on the agenda, so that we can actually talk about what our options are and what we can do now. Sorry about the long intro.
That's fine. Chris?
Joel summed this up pretty well, and to get to the potatoes of this one here, we have some options on the table from EEI. They provided us some good information on what we can do. Some being large grandiose of resurfacing, rebuilding the road actually at that curve, taking some land and making it a larger radius. That's not something we can do right now. Sheriff Barry, you've been great to give us the speed sign. That helped us out. I know you had to take that back for some issues that were needed there. We've talked about acquiring those signs for ourselves. It would be very good if we could get those, expedite that process. I know we've been researching, looking into them. Those types of things, they seem small, they seem kind of trivial to put a sign up there that just flashes what your speed is. It truly did help during that week that we had that sign up there. Looking at the rumble strips, the transverse rumble strips across the actual width of the road, letting people know, hey, there's a curve, slow down. These are very simple things, but they will go a long way until we can get to an ultimate fix for this issue. We cannot, as ourselves, fix people's driving habits alone. A lot of these people, like Joel said, don't know this road. Not all of them are local, but there are locals that do use this road as well and that are guilty of going too fast and not using this road safely. Joel and I, we live there. Beth, you live right over there. we all have families. We're looking out for ourselves and for the rest of the community. We want it to be a safe road. We're looking for an interim stopgap fix for this road. Signage, speed control signs. If we can get rumble strips actually grooved into the road, let's do it. We've got temperatures that are accommodating. We can groove those roads at any time. We need to find something that we can do in the interim to help prevent this. We know we can't build the road new now, and that's going to be a big undertaking if we try to do something like that. But right now, we know we have some options. We just need to look at, can we actually do it?
Yes, sir.
I agree with what's been said so far, and I think we could do one other thing. We could talk to the church, and we just got some new squad cars, right? So we have a couple old ones. Even if you park an old one there, and because what's going to slow people down is if they know that I come around that corner, there could be a cop there. And they'll slow themselves down if they don't want that ticket. And then, some people said, well, you do that, they'll come up, they'll figure it out eventually it's fake. And that's just one time you swap out a real one. So something like that is a real simple thing to do too.
If I could piggyback on that one. That's great for the southbound traffic. Do the same thing on the southbound, over by Alice Road or Alice Avenue. Drop one there occasionally. Right now, we've just been focusing traffic control, a squad at that curve. Move it around, put it south. We know that there's northbound traffic that's having the same issue. I wouldn't just keep it right there at the curb. If you're right there, you're actually probably too late to slow the vehicles down. So we got to kind of broaden our eyes or our view of this issue and try to help. Social media is very, very powerful. I know I've been doing my part. Joel's been doing his part. We're pushing out, try to get some awareness. If we can have the city do it, if the county would be willing to cooperate and help with some, social media posts on this one, it goes a long way. We're just trying to create some awareness on this road and the issues that have been occurring out there.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'm open to any suggestion as long as it doesn't cost too much money, obviously. The fact of the matter is, Cannonball has been there for decades. At the end of the day, it's the responsibility of the driver to follow the law. If you're speeding, you're going to be a threat no matter what road you're on. And I understand based on this curve, it's more dangerous. But government can only do so far. Government doesn't have all the answers for people. At the end of the day, you got to follow the speed limit. If you take that curve at 25 miles per hour, which is the posted speed limit, you're not going to fly off the road. Plain and simple. That's what it comes down to, is personal responsibility. Follow the law, follow the speed limit, and we won't have those accidents. Otherwise, thankfully, that family was okay and there were no serious injuries. But eventually, somebody's going to kill somebody. So if we can put some other grooves in there to advise people that a curve's coming, that's cost effective. We have to put a sign with a light just to draw people's attention. I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, we can't fix everything. People have to be responsible for how they drive and for their own actions. So I think that's the message that needs to get out to the general public. Follow the law, follow the speed limits. They're there for a reason. I don't like going 25 miles per hour as much as the next guy. It's slow and boring, but you know what? I drove that curve today, and guess what? I went 25 miles per hour, and miraculously, my car didn't fly off the road. So that's all I have to say.
Just to follow, speed limit by posting is 45. The 25 is a suggested speed. So we get people who aren't familiar with it, they are actually trying to do the speed limit or above. You and I, we know that it's 25, we respect that. In terms of what's posted for recommended, it's not the posted speed. Posted speed is 45. And
On most trucks, it's posted 45?
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Oh.
I thought on the curve there, as you're heading north on the
There's a-
side curve, there's a 25 sign.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a yellow recommended sign, isn't it?
The speed limit is 45 on the road, the curve is 25. It's like that with every curve. You can't post the curve speed limit. It's the speed lit that's recommended for that curve.
Right, but it's not enforceable.
The posted speed limit is 45.
Yes. So that's part of perception's everything. You see a white sign that says 45. A lot of people don't pay attention to those yellow signs.
In the defense, though, the 25 is posted both ways.
Right. And that's
So-
what,
and it's very large.
if you're paying attention to those yellow signs, you should be doing 25. But people see that as a yellow, it's a recommended number.
So other than just these signs, are any of these interim solutions feasible?
Any of them can be feasible. It's going to depend on what we can do with, like, Chris said about it this time of the year, trying
Other
to
money.
get asphalt money. We did do one other thing. We do have the city's police department's message board up there now as well. So that is on the southbound lane. So there is one northbound and southbound, so hopefully that is a big help, because ours actually, if you go over 25, it says slow down. And if you're going under 25, it shows you your speed.
Are we more concerned about the northbound traffic? Because if they.
There was a sign up there this morning, the northbound one, the county's was bad though.
Like, if it's a southbound loses control, they just go into the ditch.
No.
But no,
Not
they
necessarily.
If
turn
the
back.
northbound loses control, they go into oncoming traffic.
The north, what happens is the southbound one hits that curve, and then they jerk back on the road and actually go into the southbound lane as well.
There's been a lot of overcorrections and they end up on.
There's been
either
both.
or.
And the sign from the county was up this morning, so
I saw it.
we did on the opposite side, so we have both coverage.
And it's also, it's like, we understand that there is no actual bank, there is no,
It's not supernated yet.
yeah, what's it called?
Supernated.
Supernated, it's not supernated, but the idea of the traffic going south isn't that they're always crossing into the other lane, but if they hit that little lip, and enough people do it every day, that right after it was resurfaced, within a week, that whole thing was carved out, all the gravel was in that grass. So people hit it, correct, and now they're heading into traffic. And that's where I had my wife and all 3 kids in the car coming north, and somebody hit that, spun around, and went all the way around us, hit the pine trees behind us. So we understand the road's been there for years. We understand that teenagers are going to drive like teenagers. But yesterday we had a 50-something-year-old guy and a 17-year-old girl, and then a adult, like a 40-year-old driving a truck.
And a 7-year-old.
Yeah. So it's like, it's all over the map as far as ages and driving skills are concerned. But again, this isn't just people who aren't familiar with the road. We've got people that are just making mistakes. But I would like to, as we've all kind of discussed, let's just get out ahead of it and be certain that whatever we do is at least eye-opening. And we don't want to get into the whole idea of sign, pollution and stuff like that. But a lot of the comments are, oh, just lower the speed limit. And then asking Brad for an explanation, and if you've ever asked Brad what the time is, you'll get a 45-minute explanation. Brad explains that NUTCD means that you have to use the 85th percentile, so it's the average of what people would travel with or without signage, correct? So they take that number, and then your posted speed limit can't be any more than 5% of that.
Varies.
Yeah, varies, 5% plus or minus. And then you can't make the difference between a straightaway and a curve greater than 20 miles an hour, right?
Right.
So no, you can't just, like, in that
You
case,
can't just go in and.
you can't just go in and lower and drop the speed limit.
No, that's in a perfect world.
Right.
That's what makes them design roads differently now than they did when Cannonball Trail was built. Which a curve like that probably would not be engineered like that today. Right. They would flatten out the curve. So with existing roads, there could be special conditions.
So now that we all know, how are you, Tracy?
Yeah, to put the grooves in, what do we have to do?
I would have to call an asphalt company to see. Most of the time, it's actually done with hot asphalt. The grooves aren't cut in; they're actually rolled in.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but there are the 2 ways of it. One
Right.
is cutting and one is
Right.
actually pressing.
I thought maybe we could just like cut them in.
Yeah, which you can, it's just a matter of, since it's existing, it's a squirt, it's a cut, it's a process. It can be done, but we have to be cognizant of temperature of the pavement
You
too.
can't get asphalt now.
No. So cutting is probably the better way, but it's probably more expensive. Question, I know that in the past there have been federal and state programs for emergency roadway improvements. Can we look in to see if there's anything out there that might be available to us for this type of a project? We can look into that, that'd be great.
Well, what about temporary rumble strips? I know they have somebody that goes above asphalt, that's made out of something else, that is
You do
temporary.
like a speed bump.
Yeah.
Kind of like the thermoplastic paint strips that go down. I know they're a pain for plowing, but it's at least something, they're throwaway.
We'll take a look at it.
And then we're not gonna have a properly plowed street. There's gonna be a snow and ice area, and flies are gonna fly off.
And speed bumps are dangerous too. Right. Very,
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think we would be doing speed bumps, they're, what,
You're
a
just
quarter
looking
inch
at,
thick.
yeah,
Yeah.
thermoplastic,
Right.
or something that makes the noise with the time.
So that was the question too, is whether it's our road or not. And based on Brad's answer, it doesn't even matter, because you still have to do all those different studies.
But it is our road, correct?
Part.
In the township, part of our township.
It's in
What,
our town.
what, Oakland Township has occurred?
No, we have a curve. We have a 34 curve.
They're right, yeah.
But none of the properties abutting it, besides the residential neighborhoods on our side, right behind Beth's house, all of those are city, everything else is county.
Because I believe in Public Works, we discussed, you know, because straightening out is a huge expense.
Right.
What we mentioned about, it could get 3 feet
3 feet
on each side to widen it a
Extend
little
the
bit.
And that's what we're hoping to get pricing information
Yeah.
this month in Public Works to be able to make a decision.
Okay, so, go Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Is there, for a temporary fix, can you add some CA6 gravel to the north and south side of the curb to bring that up so the drop off isn't so severe? It's like you're,
Yeah,
we did today.
That's what you did today?
Yeah, and if you go by there next week,
That'll be
we'll
gone.
go again.
Right, it's gonna keep settling in.
Yeah, no, it's just sprayed out.
Oh, gotcha.
But yes, we will continue to watch that.
And when is Public Works show?
The 15th,
Next week, we can do
next
that.
Tuesday.
So, Dave, you guys will come back with some more suggestions for Public Works and, or results of Public Works?
But in the meantime, are we okay keeping the sign and we'll keep our sign up on the other direction?
Yes, that'd be fine. We have two, so we should be all right. We'll help out any way we can.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Do you have anything else, right? Anything you wanted to add or say anything, or?
No, Rich and I have been in communication, about it, so, it was a problem, I think, back the first week of December, when the sign was out there last, probably about a month ago. We'll try and maybe get it in a steady rotation until a permanent fix or perhaps some rumble strips or something can be put in, but, anything else you need from the county, please, don't hesitate to ask.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yes.
So, just so we know, what's the timeline on the 34 to the other side of the bridge? What are they looking for completion? Is that sometime late next summer?
That's optimistic.
So it's a year out. One.
The larger side of the project is the side that's not done yet. That's the more complicated side. There's the sound walls, there's four storm sewer.
I was just wondering if people are using that as a shortcut.
Absolutely they are. I would guarantee that.
So I wonder if we heard that.
Yeah, otherwise you're stuck at Cannonball by the courthouse facing east, and you got 20 minutes to get to 47, or you can get off of Cannonball,
Yeah,
and
right.
be on 47 in 3 minutes. Or if you
Or something.
you can always close Cannonball. Well, I mean, seriously, you block Cannonball north of Faxon. So if you're going to Cannonball south of Faxon, you gotta come in on 34. If you're going to Cannonball north of Faxon, you gotta come in on 47. There's no through traffic. That's gonna cut out the construction traffic. It's not closed, it's just,
Yeah, the idea of shutting off that road coming east, while it might sound preferable to some, I just know that there's a way to get from over there to into my neighborhood, and that's my secret passage. So let's be real.
It's not so secret.
Well, I'm just glad it's not illustrated on our map here.
All right, so everyone's good, just take this conversation to Public Works, and hopefully, newspaper and radio will help people slow down.
Please.
Please. Okay, well, thank you all, thank you, Dwight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sheriff.
What else do we have here? Public Works, I'll turn this over to Joel for Public
All right,
Works.
I make a motion to reject the submitted bids received for the Public Works radio purposes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions?
Just a quick synopsis. These were all for a purchase agreement. And due to the fact that technology is turning over every 4 or 5 seconds, it makes more sense to get into a lease agreement so that we basically have a service agreement on top of that and don't have to be stuck with old, outdated radio equipment.
Roll call.
Critters,
All right.
Torrillas,
Aye.
Plessina,
hi.
Buckhead,
Aye.
Wilczewski,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Butcher.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, no other committee reports, open from Park Board or Zoning Commission. No city council report, city clerk's report.
Yes, I just wanted to announce that on February 2nd at 10 o'clock at Trinity United Methodist Church, there's going to be a speaker there who just had a book published titled Good Night Sweet, A Caregiver's Long Goodbye. And she's going to be talking about, dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia and the elderly. So if you're interested, feel free to come by at 10 o'clock, February 2nd, Saturday at Trinity United Methodist Church. Thanks.
Thank you. Any community liaison reports? Staff reports? Additional business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for litigation. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no action will be taken afterwards.
No.